By the middle of his second term, Vico Sotto was no longer just the reformist mayor of Pasig. He had become a voice in a larger movement, a gathering of local leaders who wanted to change the way politics is practiced in the Philippines. That movement is called Mayors for Good Governance, or M4GG, and in it, Vico stepped into a role that went beyond his city's boundaries. M4GG began in 2023 as a coalition of mayors from across the country. They came from different regions, spoke different dialects, and even belonged to different political parties. But they were bound by one shared conviction, that governance should be honest, transparent, and accountable to the people. It was a bold declaration in a country where politics has too often been synonymous with corruption and dynasties. When Vico joined, he did more than sign his name. He became a co-convener of the movement. That meant he was not simply a participant, but one of its leaders, responsible for giving direction, helping shape its manifesto, and encouraging other mayors to take part. It was a natural extension of what he had already been doing in Pasig, reforming procurement processes, limiting political patronage, and showing that open government could work. As part of M4GG, Vico stood shoulder to shoulder with other reformist mayors like Baguio's Benjamin Magalong. Together, they called for transparency in national projects, demanded accountability in flood control spending, and pushed for citizens to be given a stronger voice in decision-making. These were not abstract ideals. They were practical issues that affected people's daily lives. Whether schools were built properly, whether medicines reached public hospitals, whether taxpayers' money was being used for the common good. In Pasig, Vico's reforms had already produced results. Competitive bidding saved the city billions. Services were streamlined, and corruption became harder to hide. Yet he often reminded people that savings themselves were not the ultimate achievement. The real challenge was to spend those resources wisely, in ways that reached communities and addressed long-standing inequities. That philosophy resonated with M4GG's mission. Good governance was not about hoarding funds or creating flashy headlines. It was about service, fairness, and building institutions, strong enough to outlast any one leader. But being part of M4GG also came with challenges. The movement had no formal enforcement mechanism. It depended on the personal integrity of its members. Some mayors struggled to implement reforms in the face of entrenched political interests, limited resources, or bureaucratic resistance. Others risked being accused of merely using the movement for image building. For Vico, the responsibility was heavy. He had to lead not only by words, but by the daily example of Pasig's governance. Still, the movement carried significance. For the first time in years, ordinary citizens could see mayors uniting not around personalities or parties, but around principles. Vico's role as a convener showed that his vision for politics was never meant to stop at the city level. It was about building a culture of integrity that could ripple outward from one local government to another, until the whole nation felt its impact. In many ways, Mayors for Good Governance gave Vico Sotto a platform to share what he had learned in Pasig and to learn from others in return. But it also raised a bigger question: where could this path lead? Could movements like M4GG become a stepping stone for a new generation of leaders, or even reshape national politics itself? In our next episode, we will follow Vico as his influence grows beyond the boundaries of Pasig and even beyond the circle of fellow mayors. We will explore how he began to be seen, not just as a local reformer, but as a national figure in the making.